Markets are selling off across the board, and that's very unusual. It's associated with crises and more convincing evidence to us that the Fed is too tight and that it will pivot. And when it does, it will do so, we think, significantly. Now, first, it might simply be rhetoric, because they always like to tee us up for what the next moves are going to be. And we haven't heard that rhetoric yet, despite all the evidence I just shared with you. But that evidence I just shared with you tells us that the Fed is going to get the message loudly and clearly somehow. And it may not be showing through in the numbers they want to see, but it will. It will. They are huge lagging indicators. They're basing policy on lagging indicators, not what they're supposed to be doing. If you take equities and bonds and look at what's happened since the peak, you will see that the loss to investors is more than twice what we saw in 08-09. That's how bad this is, because bonds are selling off with stocks this time. And one of the reasons for that is a seizing up of liquidity. As I mentioned, if people are facing margin calls or in financial difficulty, they're going to sell their most liquid asset. They will have no choice, especially with margin calls. Most liquid assets tend to be government bonds, and I think that's why we're seeing the backup in government bonds here, despite all of the deflationary signals in the pipeline. Interestingly, it feels like we're moving towards a cathartic moment is going to result in some financial signals that the Fed will have to pay attention to. Maybe it didn't have to pay attention to the guilt trip, but it should, because it is the reason that near Lehman event happened in the UK. It is darkest before the dawn. We think the pivot is close, and we certainly hope that the Fed gets away from this need for unanimity and a united front, when really we have all of these Fed members and presidents for a reason to debate. And we feel that that debate is being stifled. The debate should be driven by data, but it cannot be. If it were, they would not be unanimous in their thinking right now.